So average sucks. We've discussed that. Average sucks. If you're average today, or if you're comparing yourself to the average levels of whatever back in the day, you're behind in a wide variety of metrics, by net worth, by physical fitness, by everything else. If you're measuring yourself both by today and by yesterday, you're behind, because the world's faster now. The world's better now. The world is more cruel, violent, vicious, especially towards men, than it ever has been before. To be average based on the statistics is to sentence yourself, to a life of misery. That's not good. I don't want that for anybody, especially anyone watching this program. So, and the sad part about it is I think most men know this, and they know that like the average stuff they're doing isn't working, that we know that like college is ridiculous, for example. Like we know that, a lot of what we've been told about the way the world works is kind of a lie, and that it's changing anyway, so it's not going to be relevant in like 3 to 5 years anyway, if that. And so it's just average by the way it was defined, the way that we have defined it, the way that I've defined it for a long time, is just, it doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't. And we need to raise the bar of what average means, so we can set a new baseline that actually helps people instead of harms them. And then 2, we need to understand really what prevents most people from getting to that place of the new average, which needs to be excellent compared to the old average. So excellence is the only way to average. It's kind of almost like an inverse in that way. And because average by all of the metrics that we've discussed sucks. Most men are fat. Most men are addicted to pornography. Most men are, their sperm counts are rapidly dropping every single day. It's like, it's not, their testosterone levels are through the floor. They're not taking any risks. They're not moving off their parents. They're not financially independent. Like, being an average man today sucks. It sucks. And we should be more open about having this conversation. And so excellence is the only way to get forward. And it's and the reason why is because of 3 reasons primarily. So I think if you're kind of saying like, oh, I just want to be average, and Sam, you're wrong about all this, just hear me out on these. So I have 3, I think, pretty good reasons as to why basically most people are not going to achieve anything, because they're settling for that old definition of quote unquote average when it's really not average at all. It's actually just an excuse for failure and broader stuff at the end of the day too. So number 1, the first reason why average sucks is that it's too competitive of a world today. It's too competitive a world. I remember my dad let me know about this early. He really understood this from way quicker than a lot of other. My dad's an incredibly smart guy, but he knew this very, very early. He knew this far quicker than any of like the smart people out there, whatever those mean. So my dad would always say, like, he would say this to my grandparents, because my grandparents are still very ignorant to this stuff, and I love my grandparents, but they're still just not tuned in. So my dad entered the workforce in the mid-90s, and he went into manufacturing engineering. He's an engineer by trade. He's now an executive and does a bunch of things with engineering firms. And so my dad saw globalization unfold in real time, and it was from a couple of fronts. The first one was the outsourcing of labor, the change in the economics going from a goods-based economy to a service-based economy, the advancement of higher education requirements for people, for example. And so he saw a lot of those things unfold in real time, and he began to think to himself, that like, oh wow, like it's like the world is now open. Like the United States is open for business for anyone who wants to come here. And because the United States is the greatest country in the world, it still is the greatest country in the world, with the best companies, the best opportunity, the best quality of life, the best college educational opportunities, etc. What he saw, because my dad would go to universities all the time. He'd visit research labs of high-level engineering schools. We were in the Midwest, so he'd go to like Purdue was a famous one. Ohio State was a good one. Cleveland State was right by us. And so he'd go to all of these different schools, and he saw the demographics of the students that were coming in to become engineers, for example. And he was very impressed with mostly people that were coming from outside of the United States. People from India, people from Africa, people from China, people from Japan. These exchange students that would come to America for educational opportunity, get a job here. And he immediately began to realize that he only had to compete largely in college and for a job with people that were in this country. And there's a lot of people in this country. There's hundreds of millions of people in the United States. There's good jobs out there, but you still have to compete for them. But what my dad said, he's like, oh, this is going to get so much more competitive because the world is now open to everybody. Everyone wants to come to the U.S. Everyone wants to get a great education. Everyone wants to get a really good job. And so he's like, oh, wow, we need to do something about this. And he did. And so basically what my dad would always tell me is like, Sam, you're going to have it so much harder than I am from this perspective, from just the volume of competition that you're going to be facing. And that's true. It's still true today because the world today is so open. And the information, now this is, I think, going to compound this even further. It's not just because we have more bodies to compete with. That's one dynamic of it, which is a thing we should consider, obviously. But the second thing is that the information is so available to all those folks as well, which is making it easier than ever for others to compete and for you to compete, by the way. So it's a good thing for you, but also know that everyone else is more competitive. It's not just that the floodgates have been opened for more people from either other countries or people in different parts of the United States or wherever to have access to the same opportunities that you are and the average quote unquote life that you want. It's that basically the level of access they have to all the things they do need to be average, successful, etc., are way more available than they once were. And so the point of this is that today's world, from multiple perspectives, and everyone has their hard. I want to put, like, every generation has had it hard, but the hard of this generation is it's far harder than at any other point in history in this perspective in terms of achieving an average life because of the sheer volume and the sheer quality, so it's quality and quantity issue, of people that are trying to do something with their lives. Now, should you let people that are successful dictate your success? Absolutely not. That's to externalize your control. I don't recommend doing that at all. But the reality is, if you want to get something, if you want to get after it, you got to get after it. Because if you don't, someone else is right behind you, licking at your heels, ready to take it from you. And this is not to put you in a mindset of scarcity. There's abundance out there. But just know, man, it's like if you're going out there, you better crack your brass knuckles with you. Because if you go out there without thinking that someone's going to try to clock you across the face to go get theirs while you're trying to get yours, you are dead wrong. You are dead wrong. And so many of them are failing in this way as well. There's also that possibility, and you're seeing this in real time in America for sure. But the bottom line is, if you do not shape yourself into becoming someone who can compete in this marketplace, in any marketplace, whether it's tech, finance, education, women, whatever, you will find yourself very behind very fast. And that's maybe the number one thing I hear from men that I talk to that are looking to me for advice or guidance or whatever, for people generally, is that it's that, the thing that people say now is, I feel behind. And what I have really begun to tell them recently is that you probably are. I'm sorry to say, but you probably are behind. And like, that sucks. Like, being behind sucks. Because you know that, like, oh boy, I need to get my act together here. And you do need to get your act together. And so I'm done trying to sugarcoat all this stuff and say, like, you know what, you can just figure it out at your own pace. You can just do whatever. No. If you feel behind, you are. You probably are. And should you let that dominate your thought patterns? No. But should you be real with yourself and say, hey, I probably need to get my stuff together in a certain way or another? Yes. Yes, you should. Which leads to the second opportunity, or the second reason for this, is that the alternative to not being excellent, to being average, as we have defined it for so long, it's just too horrible. It's too horrible to be average now. Because the alternative for not going at, let's really spell this out here. The alternative for not going after excellence, as mentioned, being okay with living like most men do, their unfulfilled life, they're mired in debt, they're eating crap food, they're feeling terrible about themselves all the time. And I could speak from experience here. Like, I'm not saying that, like, I'm not using this to, like, dump on men. This is not what this episode's about. This is about calling men higher. This is not about condemning. This is about convicting people. I've been in all those places. I've been a loser before, and it sucks. And it really, really sucks. Like, it sucks to having so much social anxiety that anytime a woman comes within 10 feet of you, you automatically break out into a sweat. It sucks being hooked on internet porn and not having the self-control or the discipline to stop watching it. It sucks being 40 pounds overweight and stuffing your face with food to feel better It sucks not having any friends and not having any people to call or people that are checking in on you or whatever. It sucks only relying on your achievement and education as a single point of failure in your life. It sucks not knowing that there's a God out there that loves you and cares about you and wants to adopt you as a son. It sucks being average. And I've been there, man. I've been there. I know how you feel. And it's horrible. So I'm sorry about that because it really does suck. But that said, given that it sucks, you can't stay there because you know that it sucks and you know that it's awful where you're at. Like, you know that. If you've been there and you've gotten out of that, first of all, congratulations and shout out to you. You know what that's like. I've thought about this recently. It's like, I think I'm more afraid of going back than I am excited about going forward because I know how bad it is in some ways. This is probably a quote that's been said by someone far wiser than this in the past, but the dude that played Storm Shadow in the first G.I. Joe movie, he was like twirling this ninja star, and he had this line that said, "Fear is a great motivator," and that's so right. That's so true. I am so terrified of going back to where I was. It's like I'm never going back there ever, and I'm excited about my future. I think my future is going to be, hopefully, God willing, pretty good. But I would be a liar if I said that I was not just so gosh darn terrified to go back to where I was. Because I am. I'm really, really afraid of not doing well. And that's just like, it just sucks, dude. It really, really sucks. So even though it is hard to be excellent, trying to be excellent, getting yourself out of the averageness, quote unquote, it's hard in the short term for sure, because shifting your mindset from an average mindset to an excellence-based mindset is like jarring. It's a very jarring experience to kind of go out and kind of say like, whoa, I was this bad and this and whatever. But it's far worth it in the long term simply for the fact of what I just said. Being average sucks. Average sucks. And it's just because of what you avoid, just because of the asteroid that does not hit your planet, you will, like, it's worth it for that reason alone. Even if your life doesn't become a massive roaring success, at least you're not miserable. Like, that's a win, I think, today, honestly, ladies, just not being in an awful state of misery. That's a win as far as I'm concerned, especially now. As maybe sad as it is, I don't know if that's sad to say or not, but that's how I feel. And so in however, after you get out of the misery, let's start there. You'll just, if you keep pursuing excellence, this is what I've seen from myself, from everybody that I know that lives a really excellent life, or that tries to live an excellent life, is you will live a better life. And this is the thing that we want to anchor on. This was what the conversation should be focused on. This point is not talked about much, but it really should be, as far as I'm concerned. This is, again, where Jordan Peterson knocks us out of the park. Excellence is an adventure, no matter how you pursue excellence. It's an adventure. It's not like a destination. Like it's not the destination's journey. It's such a cliche, but it is, because it's like you will never get there if you're trying to become excellent. You will never hit your goals. Sorry, because an excellence mindset is always about growth. It's always about getting better. And so it's not necessarily about setting these massive, audacious goals. And I'm a fan of goal setting to a degree, but I think habits are way more important than goals when it comes to excellence. Like, I think, hitting 10% body fat one time is far less admirable of a goal than being a far less admirable a situation rather than being 15% body fat for 40 years. 15% for the rest of your life, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But if you just hit 10% once and you go back to 20, it's like, what does that do? It's not sustainable. Again, sustainability is the goal here. It should be the goal here, at least. So, and I think I don't think I know. I've begun to experience this a lot now, and I'm so grateful for this. But like, man, life is freaking awesome if you do it right. It's really great if you do it right. If you do the things that make people successful and get away from the things that make people average, life is really awesome. And do I own a yacht? No. Do I fly private? No. Do I have like this massive mansion of a house? No. Like, I really don't want those things, to be honest. Never have. And I'm grateful for that, by the way. But like, having an excellence mindset around just your life generally. It's like, I have pretty great friends. I have pretty great family members who like love me and stuff. I have the God of the universe. It's my dad. Like, it's pretty awesome. Like, I could beat up 99% of the world's population. That's pretty cool. I'm in better shape than 95% of the people walking the face of the planet. That's pretty awesome. I got a job that I like. I don't have to depend on, some, demonic corporation to feed me. Like, that's pretty cool. So it's like when you have things you want to achieve, and when you want to push yourself beyond where you currently are and get to a better place, life becomes awesome. It becomes awesome because you will actually be going for something instead of sitting on your rear end and doing nothing, which is what most people are doing. Most people sit back and they wait for life to happen to them. But you have the opportunity to be the opposite and do the opposite. If you pursue excellence, you will happen to life. Life will not happen to you. And I think that's a very, very worthwhile thing for every man to try to pursue. And every man's pursuit of excellence is going to be different. And that's fine. Like, your definition of excellence is not going to be my definition of excellence. That's not what this is about. It's not pardon my French, like a dick measuring competition. It's not. It's not a pissing contest. But what does your definition of success look like? I can guarantee you it's not average. So don't be average, because average is not an option.